and Putin calling for blockchain-based international payment systems. Apparently, he is criticizing Western sanctions. No shit. And urged for a system independent of external interference. So this obviously, he's talking about something in because of what's being happened to him. But we all know that somebody like Putin would be in favor of a more centralized type of network. But
Yeah.
this is all very interesting. So go ahead and expand on this a little bit, if you will.
Yeah, sure. So Putin specifically stated that he wants a centralized exchange, like basically a Russian centralized exchange, but they are looking at different, coin setups. What I think will happen is I think most, sovereign nations have this idea that, well, we can just make our own sovereign cryptocurrency. It's blockchain based, but maybe we can collaborate with some other countries to have it be, multinational functionally. So, I really don't see him using a Bitcoin or a Doge, honestly. I don't see Putin going that direction at all. But this fundamental question is important. The question is, should money be used as a weapon by, sovereign governments? That's, I think, the question. And, seeing in the 2008, big government bailouts, that's what Occupy Wall Street was kicked off by, and that's what kicked off Bitcoin, by the way. This is in the lifeblood of Bitcoin, questioning this idea that, well, government can be so tied in with these big businesses that a government can just, functionally forgive the debt and pass it on to every single taxpayer, right? So there's these high level principles of how involved should government be in our money. And I don't think anyone has an answer to that other than, Bitcoin is experimenting with that of like, hey, what country is the, sovereign owner of Bitcoin? It's like, well, no country is. I mean, you have El Salvador investing in it and DCAing 1 Bitcoin per day, but, that's different than them being able to control the supply and, decide who does and doesn't get their money honored. There's a bunch of caveats like that. So, I'm interested to hear, what both of you think about the distinction between sovereign governments and money that isn't owned by the sovereign government.
There's a lot to unpack here. A lot.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, this case right here that Putin's calling for is a perfect use case for Bitcoin. Large purchases, extremely secure purchases. You already have quite a few countries that have declared Bitcoin as a currency in their country. And there are multiple treaties out there that basically say if a country has declared a certain thing as a currency, then it can be used for purchases of imports and exports from other countries. So right away, if Russia says, say, it's Bitcoin that we're going to use and we declare that as a currency, if you want to buy anything from Russia and they say it has to be in Bitcoin, then it has to be in Bitcoin. That's part of it. And right now we're using Bitcoin as the example because it makes the most sense right now.
Mm-hmm.
But if that goes through, this is a major U.S. issue with the petrodollar. I mean, if we can buy oil with something other than the petrodollar, that is going to have severe consequence for the U.S. And I'd love to get Don's thoughts on that too, because if what's to stop people other countries hate the petrodollar because it only benefits America and it's a losing game. The math on it is bad. Everybody knows that. We just kick the can down the road, and the petrodollar is exactly what has propped up our bad American economy for a very long time. So at some point, everybody's going to get sick of it. And if crypto and or Bitcoin is the answer to buy oil or anything else from other countries, that's going to cause a war. I'll tell you that right now. The U.S. is going to get pissed, throw a fit, and go to war over that. They'll blame it on something else, but you're messing with U.S. money. Yeah, you're messing with U.S. money once you allow this. So there's something to unpack there. And then the other part of this that I would want to look at is do not forget that Vitalik Buterin, who is the one of the creators of Ethereum, the largest cryptocurrency in the world, not Bitcoin, but the largest crypto in the world, he is from Russia. And it is very, very well documented that especially in ETH's early days, Vitalik and Putin sat down many, many times talking about crypto and having meetings specifically about what is cryptocurrency. This is years ago. And I don't see how Putin is exposed to crypto and Bitcoin for as long as he's been exposed to it through Vitalik to not understand the economic benefit of it. We talk about all the time. If you spend 100 hours researching Bitcoin, you already own it because it makes that much sense. And you're in the space if you understand the space because it makes that much sense to you. So there's no way that Putin and Vitalik have not spoken about something. I'm not saying that Vitalik's going to be the one to lead this, but their documented conversations absolutely has rhyme and reason as to why Putin wants crypto and or Bitcoin and blockchain when it comes to imports and exports.
Yep.
Straight up. So it'd be interesting to know what those conversations are.
Yeah, absolutely. And furthermore, there's also connections with like Ethereum and the World Economic Forum, and they're the basically government of governments they're trying to establish themselves as. So any tinfoil hats, you can take your tinfoil hat off. It's news.
Oh yeah, it's real.
You know, I mean, for real, the World Economic Forum functionally wants to be like above NATO. They want to like push a green agenda and functionally make it so you own nothing and you will be happy. That's their whole idea. They basically want to be your landlord so that you have to come to them and ask for permission for whatever you do. And Bitcoin is completely antithetical to that because Bitcoin's not about you asking permission. It's about a trustless system, right? It's about you saying, I want to do business with Brad Smith, and there's no middleman. It's just me and Brad Smith, right?
Right.
And so yeah, we're as crypto heads, we're going to run into this over and over and over again because what we're doing is in its fabric countercultural. In its fabric, we're saying, I think you should be responsible for yourself. I don't think there should be a big daddy who's responsible for you and tells you what you can and can't do, provided you respect life, liberty, and property, right? So these are fundamental worldview shifts that aren't going to agree, and I think that we have to hold the line.
Yeah, Vitalik sits on some of those boards, some
His
sort of
dad does too.
advisory, something. Yeah, of the World Economic Forum. So this is a huge deal, and I do not see how it goes through without us going to war. I mean, and you see Russia right now courting the likes of China, courting the likes of some of the other Middle Eastern states, to move imports and exports, most specifically energy and oil, trying almost, to make their own NATO, so to speak. They're bridging things there so that they can pass back and forth imports and exports, specifically oil, without the petrodollar. And again, when you start messing with money, that it leads to war because money is power. And that's the fall of every society is the threat of the loss of power. So let's go to war.